Hi, Minsel here. First important news that cannot wait. Patch notes 2.3 are looking good. Jagarnath is a go. Compared to the test version, Jagarnath will have 15% increased attack speed instead of 25%. That's trivial. Most importantly, unrelenting maximum endurance gain has stayed intact. The build has gone viral. Thanks a lot for all your support. This video is about the basic mechanics of Jagarnath. A lot of comments received on Reddit, YouTube, in-game and on the forums were filled with questions. These were mostly about three things: the mechanics used, best skill trees, and last but not least the leveling strategy. That's why I felt the need to make this basic guide. It will be slow paced, containing general things intended for the greater public and less useful to advanced players. I will finish off with the forum build guide and how we all can help to improve the build. Okay, starting off with the basic mechanics. Cyclone is not only a movement skill, it hits a lot for great offensive power. Constant movement counters the AI of monsters. For example, charging monsters run to the place where you stood half a second ago. Simply by avoiding a lot of danger, this skill provides huge defenses. While the skill is active, you are immune to stun. Awesome bonus, although we have easy access for stun immunity with the Juggernaut Ascendancy class. Cyclone gives room for more options in the selection varieties there. A downside of Cyclone is the pathing. A rock, a chest, a small furniture can stop you dead in your tracks. It feels like you are stuck. Experience will lessen this effect a lot. In no time you'll be sidestepping these landmines without noticing it. Cast on melee kill is linked to Cyclone. When Cyclone kills a monster, it will cast any spell. That has been added to the links. Adding multiple spells is also possible. Having both spells and attack gems in a linked setup has disadvantages. To start, it takes 3 gems to begin with, while otherwise you could put 2 support gems to support solely Cyclone. Secondly, you have to be creative to make sure the rest of the support gems positively affect both Cyclone and Discharge for the biggest efficiency, and that will limit your options. Here I kill with Cyclone linked to Discharge. I kill monsters and nothing happens. Cast on melee kill is not working, and that is because I have no charges. Discharge consumes any active charge that will fuel the damage. Without charges, there will be no discharge cast. And the more charges fueling Discharge, the bigger the bang. To make sure this will never happen, we're not going to use one source for charges, but multiple sources. The Juggernaut skill Inflincing gives you a charge automatically, 1/5 of the time when you get hit by something. While we stand here, the monster is triggering it. The unique two-handed sword aura can give you frenzy charges, but not always and only when you ignite monsters. When there are no monsters around to kill for a cast, you can create them yourself. Another way to get endurance is with Enduring Cry. You stand still and cast that war cry. If more enemies are close to you, you will get more charges. This single worm that has been spawned with a flask will give you 1 charge. Another option to get endurance charges automatically is with a retaliation skill called Vengeance. Vengeance will occasionally hit a monster back that has struck you, an eye for an eye. If you link Vengeance to the support endurance charge on melee stun, you gain an endurance charge when Vengeance stuns a target. As you notice while exploring the build, Jagarnath is pretty keen on getting as much automation as possible. Less time standing still is more time destroying maps. A movement skill that can jump obstacles is Leap Slam. It can also be used to stun. All these attacks can ignite, of course, with frenzy charges. Another source for endurance is the curse Warlord's Mark. It has a chance to grant you 1 each time you kill a cursed monster. The old-fashioned way is just casting the curse manually. The automated way is by supporting the curse with Blasphemy. The price you pay for automation is reserved mana. Another source for frenzy charges is Blood Rage. The price you pay for this one is slow life damage. A DOT, short for damage over time. Since the build has a lot of positive life regen, it's all countered and you won't notice a thing. The price is real though. The life regen that's left will be weaker to help you in dire circumstances. Cast it once and it stays on as long as you keep killing. Now that won't be a problem. The greatest thing about Juggernaut is the skill Unrelenting. Instead of getting 1 endurance charge, you get the maximum you can hold. So instead of working hard, collecting all those charges, for example 8, you get 7 for free. And it might even be an automated gain, so you got it all for free. Naturally, you invest a lot of resources into heightening the maximum amount of charges you can hold. Imagine inflating a balloon. This will happen instantly, and after you drive a spike for the bang, the process can be repeated again in a sickening rate. Since Aura of Sacrifice deals fire damage and discharge as well, it's easier to scale your damage than with other weapons. Normally you'd use increased physical sources for your Cyclone and increased spell damage for discharge. Now we can increase both with fire damage. And since both affect an area, both can be buffed by area modifiers as well. Frenzy fuels discharge with cold damage. So it's smart to change that into fire, so everything is aligned. Damage conversion is done with the skill node Avatar of Fire. But a unique ring called Pyra can also be used. Both have their advantages and disadvantages, but in the land of the blind, one eye is king. So you always have the option to take Avatar of Fire when you cannot acquire the ring. For this build, many roads lead to Rome. There are very few specific requirements. The same goes for the source to gain an additional curse. You can acquire it from items, and if you don't have those, there's always the option to take it from the skill tree. You can customize everything to your own personal needs. An easy way to gain more defense is Fortify. Supported skills will grant you the buff that gives damage mitigation. If we link it to our main Cyclone gem, it would take up a gem slot that would otherwise be used for more damage. That's why it's smart to set up an additional melee skill to buff yourself up. Most popular for 200 weapons is a second Cyclone or a Leap Slam. You will need experience to get the timing right, since Fortify has a very short duration. Elemental Reflect is an issue. Discharge deals such huge amounts of fire damage, even the smallest fraction returned back to your character will send it reeling if it's not fatal. To get some measure of control over that fraction of returned damage, two mitigating factors are used. A Ruby Flask that increases your maximum fire resist, and a unique ring called Sibyl's Lament. I've tested some Reflect in previous videos and did some calculations there. Feel free to check it out. Fortify will mitigate the Reflect as well. Normally you'd be safe with only one of these sources, but when the stars align, it's good to have both. Look at it from this perspective. When you check your wristwatch, it reads a distance it can go in the water, but you probably never go that deep. And if you would go anywhere near that depth, you just take the watch off before you go diving. That number on your watch, however, does give you the confidence, since it will be perfectly fine when it gets wet from a bit of rain or while doing the dishes. For this elemental damage build, it goes in a similar fashion. For elemental reflect maps, don't go in, reroll the map. For the occasional reflect rare, you know you're perfectly safe. So with all this knowledge, there is not one skill tree to rule them all. It's highly dependent on your gear. What I can show is a basic layout in the forum. One extra note I have to make here. Warlord's Mark supplies both life and mana leech. In some occasions the mana leech from the curse is insufficient. Think of encountering curse immune monsters. Hence an extra source is handy, because running out of mana is a very bad thing. Melee builds usually get their mana pool from physical mana leech. This build does merely fire damage and no physical, so it has to find another source. The leech nodes close to the duelist provide global attack leech and will do nicely. About choosing your leveling strategy. It will use a different skill tree and might be costly in terms of currency to transform into a tree for Jagarnath. If you want the absolute best, try search for raising strategies. Other players have made excellent leveling guides. Leveling a build with a similar tree will be the cheapest option. My preference would go for manual discharge or earthquake. Earthquake will use a similar tree and walk the left side taking resolute technique, so you will never miss. Resolute technique and Jagarnath skill Elemental Overload do not go well together. However, a low-level Juggernaut will benefit more from Resolute Technique in the beginning. But whatever you do, you will receive plenty respect points by doing all the quests to mitigate the cost. Here I show a different character, an Earthquake Marauder from a hardcore 2-week flashback league. It managed to climb the ladder and win a prize. Proof of a solid build. If we compare his Earthquake skill tree to the skill tree of Juggernaut, we can spot a lot of similarities. It will be the safest bet and easy for leveling. If you cannot wait to start discharging, go for it, nothing is going to stop you. But whatever you do, make sure you pick up plenty of gems needed for the Juggernaut build. Level them up in your offhand weapon slot, so when you transform into Juggernaut, they will be more powerful. After your first labyrinth runs, I advise you to take Unrelenting first. It will take some time before you receive your 5th to 8th ascendancy point, so you will have plenty of time to think about your next choices. These are not set in stone and can be undone later on. The Bennett quest forces you to make choices. Help Oak in normal. In Cruel you either take attack speed or a skill point. My preference goes to the skill point. In Merciless you can take a Frenzy or Endurance charge. Since it's easier to max out Endurance charges, you should take that one. About the forum post. Be nice to each other. This ain't Reddit. Do not burn each other to the ground. Try and think of some positive criticism. And try out different options yourself. Do not copy things blindly, because you learn more and perhaps discover new things yourself. And do not wait for me to reply to questions. If you think you have the knowledge, reply yourself. Don't be afraid of making mistakes, because I'm making plenty of them myself. And I still learn new things about Path of Exile each day. Take a humble approach and you'll learn more. To help each other out during prophecy, it's easier if we can recognize each other. If you want, you can put a tag in your character name. Caps, Jag. Make your own variation from Mick Jagger, Don't Scratch My Jag, Can't Handle the Jag, whatever you come up with. Support each other, Semper Fi. Since I want to try Jagarnath in prophecy so bad, I'll be starting in softcore. I don't want to keep testing on standard, I want to join the fun. And I'm impatient like little schoolboy, so I can't handle the suspense if I rip on level 66 on hardcore. That was it for now, good luck with your build and thanks for watching.